What is going on, guys? Now, before we get into this video, I did want to address this little prowler right behind me. A lot of people are asking me where I got it from, and this is the only piece like this in the whole entire world. That's because I made it myself. This thing is made out of plywood. I made it a few years ago, and in 2017, I actually posted a video exactly how I made it. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll put that right up here and also in the description box down below. But I essentially took the new Jaguar head and combined it with kind of the old logo that I really loved. It's an 8-foot long piece of plywood, so it's very cool. I just want to say that here because a lot of people are asking me where I got it from, but it's a unique piece. Now, on with that, I'll move on to the next subject, and that is that after Carolina Panthers, they signed Teddy Bridgewater in free agency, and they let it be known that, hey guys, Cam Newton is on the market. We are looking to trade him. And it doesn't look like any team really wanted to pick up his contract, and they also didn't want to trade away draft assets, draft capital for Cam Newton. So it was announced today that they will wind up releasing Cam Newton. And it brings up an interesting subject. Should the Jaguars go after him? Now, when you look at Cam Newton, Cam Newton has a lot of sex appeal to him. He was, don't get it wrong. Back in his prime, he was an elite quarterback. He was a top 5, 6, 7 quarterback in the NFL. His best year came in 2015, where he was a league MVP. He led the Panthers to an improbable 15-1 record, proving a lot of doubters wrong, and then going up into the Super Bowl, where they did wind up losing to the Denver Broncos. And it was a notorious game where Cam Newton, the ball was on the ground, he didn't jump on a fumble, and that was a big reason why they lost the game. And now Cam Newton is available. Like, we can go sign him. And obviously right now when you look at the Jaguars quarterback room, they traded Nick Foles, and with that, it's pretty much slating Gardner Minshew into the starting quarterback role. And it leaves Josh Dobbs as a backup. Josh Dobbs, we acquired him last year, a few days after Nick Foles was put on the IR. We needed a backup quarterback to be active on the roster in case anything were to happen to Minshew, and we traded away a 2020 5th-round pick for Josh Dobbs. So that's our quarterback room right now. We haven't gone out and signed anybody, and we have the potential to say, okay, do we want to upgrade the quarterback room? There's a few different options out there. The Bengals are probably going to be open to dealing Andy Dalton, so we could maybe get him. Jameis Winston is a free agent, and now Cam Newton is going to be a free agent. It's pretty ironic because there are a bunch of number 1 overall picks available between Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, and Jadeveon Clowney. All of those guys are free agents. And but with Cam Newton last year was a very strange year because, Cam Newton, one of his biggest assets as a football player was that the guy was extremely physical. He's a huge guy. I mean, he ran quarterback draw plays like nobody else. I mean, he could lower his shoulder and truck people. But it seems like with age, all that started to catch up with him. And I remember watching him in 2019. I remember watching a game where he was playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was like week 2 or week 4, one of those weeks. And I was looking at him like, he looked like a completely different quarterback because he was just so small. The guy noticeably got a lot skinnier. And you also notice that his arm strength was very off. I mean, it was clear there was something up with him, and then obviously they put him on the IR. I forget what the kid's name was, Allen or something. He was recently traded to the Redskins, but he was out there playing for them. He actually did pretty well for a little bit, but I think it started to catch up with him, and kind of his success was a little bit fluky, and he's a Redskin. So, but you look at Cam Newton, and really with me, if I want to bring on Cam Newton, I want to see what kind of role he would be, because obviously we need to figure out if Gardner Minshew is the answer, because I don't think Gardner Minshew or Cam Newton is the answer. And really, it's Gardner Minshew's year to prove that, hey, we don't really have a lot of talent right now. We are most likely going to be drafting somewhere in the top 10 in the 2021 NFL draft. Most likely, when you look at kind of the talent of the team right now, And, you notice they're going through a little bit of a retooling right now with all the players that they traded away. It's Gardner Minshew's time to show, hey, are you the quarterback, or do we need to use some of our draft capital to get a quarterback in 2021? So with Cam Newton, I think he needs to play a role of a backup and almost like a mentor, because I don't think that we need to bring anyone in for competition. So with Cam Newton, I don't know if this is the best role for him. I don't know if this is the best team for him, because like with Cam Newton, one of his big downfalls is just he sometimes he's not the best teammate when things aren't going his way. He kind of sits on the sidelines with a little towel over his head, kind of isolates himself, and I don't know if he would be a great mentor for Gardner Minshew. Honestly, if I were to go with the guy, I would probably rather sign like maybe like a Jameis Winston on a 1-year deal. That would be more the route I would go with, just because Jameis Winston's a little bit younger. I think Jameis Winston has a little bit more room to improve, even though with Jameis Winston, I'm not the biggest believer in him, just because he's been given 5 years. He's been given a few different, he's been given Dirk Cutter, Bruce Arians, and he didn't really develop when it comes to the mistakes he was making under any of those guys. But the thing is, with the Jaguars right now, we have a lot of guys that, can mold a quarterback. We've got guys like, Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden's worked with all kinds of quarterbacks, whether it be Robert Griffin III, whether it be like Andy Dalton. Some of Andy Dalton's best years were under Jay Gruden back when he was the offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. He was with Robert Griffin III, Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins. He's been with a lot of guys, so maybe he looks at a situation like this and says, hey, maybe I can do something with Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton, I would love to see kind of his measurements and kind of see him throw the ball around a little bit, because I think he's a big time unknown right now. But, I would, if the Jaguars made the decision to get Cam Newton, it would definitely be interesting to me. But I don't know if the Jaguars are a team that Cam Newton would necessarily want to go to. I think Cam Newton would rather go to a place where he has more of a chance to start, maybe a team like New England, or maybe even like Miami, like something like that. I think would be more fitted toward Cam Newton. But it's gonna be fascinating to see where he goes, and if anything happens Jaguars news related, I'll come at you guys with a video. Thanks for watching. Go Jags!